Hello friends and colleagues, I'm back again with my tutorial, and I just want to show you briefly how you can edit a natural light photography. Key of the things to consider while editing a natural light photography. The first thing you are to note is that there's usually an uneven distribution of light in the body. So like this here now, we have the light coming from this direction. As you can see here, you can see the direction of the light here, and then we have shadows. So key to editing natural light photography is, the first thing is, make sure you turn down the highlight. Turn down the highlight. This highlight, once you turn it down, it takes care of those excess lights and exposures. Then once you turn down this, you turn on the highlight, the next thing to do is not quickly to start adjusting colors and all that. The next thing to do is to turn down shadow, turn up shadow, turn up the shadows, turn up the shadows. Now when you turn up the shadow, I'm explaining to you what the shadow does. The shadow takes care of some areas that there is no light. When you turn it up, turning it up is to add light to areas where there is no light. I'm going to show you a kind of example of what I mean by that. Now when you look at this image now, if you look at this image, you see that if I turn down, I have already turned off the highlight. Look at how the image is looking. The original image from 0 here is looking, you can see a lot of shadows here, but by turning up this highlight, see what it does. It adds light to areas where there was not enough light, so it takes care of the shadows. When you turn down this shadow will add more shadow. Do you understand? So but this is more like turning off the shadow to -200. So when you turn it up, you are increasing the shadow. So where there is shadow, you are removing those shadows. So I think this is a simple technique that you get when editing a natural light photography. This is because the light is not evenly distributed. The light is not evenly distributed, and now you want to add light to where there is no light. So I'm going to go over to this image and show you. Okay, this I use this for the training to show you the focusing system. Trying to create 1.8. Look at the image here. Look at the details. f1.8, 85 mm, ISO 100. So we are having this boost the shadow, and then this is now after you have boosted the shadow and the image is not too bright or too is overexposed, you can now turn down your exposure. These are the basic things you should take care of when you are editing a natural light photography. I hope you understand. So when you take your picture on a natural light, not even natural light, you can also use this method to edit all your images starting from. So when you don't know what to adjust, usually it makes a lot of people not to be able to know how to continue with their work. So you should be able to know what to start with. Don't start with the exposure. When you start with the exposure, you just be turning up highlight up and down. So keep the exposure at 100 and adjust the highlight for images that have a lot of see the usual picture here. If you look at from 0 here, you look at how the picture is, but by turning down the highlight, you are having, so you see the effect here. Turning down shadow, we are having more, so I don't want the shadows to be too much, and that's why I reduced it to this. So if I turn up the shadows, then because this one is not as exposed as the other one, so I'm going to increase the exposure a little. So this is how to edit a natural light photography. Now the next thing to do after this is to, I'm looking at this too, so I'm going to turn down the exposure because I've already turned down the highlight so that it won't be overexposed. I'm looking at the image, it's looking overexposed here. So now the next thing after this is to color grade your picture. Now I've shown you a lot of videos on how to do your color grading. If you want to color grade, I want to color grade all this image together as one. So I'm going to select the first image and just press shift and then select the last one, and it highlights all the images together. So that the color grading will be one. So I'm going to go over to the color mixer, and then look at this. You decide what effect you want to have on your image. You decide what effect you want to have on your image. You can do a classic color grading here. You can do a classic color grading here, so that your image, look at the image, how it's looking now. Look at how the image is looking now, so you can see. I'm just showing you how the image looks now that it's color graded. Look at how the image looks. So we are turning off OK, so you can see how the image looks now. So if you want to color grade your image, this is, don't always, like I said, don't always turn this green up. When you turn this green up, it's looking too, not too okay. So always make sure the green is down. This is how to get a beautiful greens for those who do outdoor photography, and then you have your green background, and you don't want it to be too much. This is the best way to edit your green, except you want to turn it up. So I guess this is it. So these images are not going to be retouching this image, because there is no point retouching this image, because it won't require retouching. So the next thing now is, maybe I can decide to do further. I can decide to do further by probably going back to this color, going back to the hue now, and turning it up. You can decide to turn it up like this, so it will look more natural. It's a choice you have to make. You can still decide to go and then turn up the blues, which I won't advise you to do. For me, this is the way. You can also turn off the yellow if you want, and this is how the image becomes when you turn off the yellow. And there's no feud, there's like this, so don't turn off the yellow to that extent. All right, thank you.